Oh yeah, we got it. We are live, baby. Thank goodness. My apologies for all of the technical difficulties. This has been an adventure to say the least. But yo, we're back. We're here. It's 6:13. My most sincere apologies. We really kind of screwed everything up here, but we got it going. So I'm just super excited to show you all. Thank you so much again for joining us here at Packernet.com. On behalf of the Packernet Film Room, my name is Coach Hawn. I'm here because of these awesome dudes, Pack Daddy and JJ Leahy. Make sure you give them a follow and shout them out because they're the reason that all of this is going down. Super excited to take a look at this Rams defense and all the nasty, awesome stuff they do, and just how the Packers can kind of counter it, how they can go through and attack and make everything hopefully kind of flow with them. So my apologies again for the technical difficulties. Thank you so much for hanging. I certainly appreciate your patience. Let's get on a roll. Make sure you hit those comments, those questions, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to be trying to bounce around between all these screens, and we'll do the very best we can. So again, kind of a very similar format to what we did last night, where we're going to be taking a look at a little bit of film, just kind of showing you some things that they do on the D-line, some of the things their linebackers do, some of the secondary stuff, some really good stuff from them, some things you can exploit, and then taking a look at the whiteboard right behind me to where we can actually go ahead and see what the Packers can do to adjust. So again, my apologies. Travis, it's great to see you, Travis. Certainly appreciate you. Her, very excited. We're very excited to have you in here. Thank you. I did see Lil Wayne is dropping that hype song for you guys, for you Packer fans. Again, not a Packer fan, but really starting to get involved in all the cool stuff that you do as Packer fans. So I love watching this Green Bay Nation really kind of explode. And let's be honest, I shouldn't say explode. Y'all been like diehard fans from day one. So really excited to be here with you. Thanks for having me. Again, drop those comments, questions, thoughts, concerns, hot takes, anything like that in there. I'm going to do my very best to keep up on the comments as we go through this. So I'm going to go ahead and switch screens now. And as I do that, we're going to bring up this film in the full screen version of it for you here. And then we're just going to kind of roll through. I got a couple of different clips. The clips I have, honestly, are taking a look at D-line centered first, and just some of the nasty things they do in pass rush, especially centering around Aaron Donald, number 99, and different ways that they move him around. Then we'll take a look at secondary and some of the things that the Packers want to avoid, certainly, but then also some things that they can exploit. So the very first play here we have against the Seahawks on Wild Card weekend, just last weekend. I always like to start with the freshest film because that kind of gives you an update on where they are, injury-wise or whatever, okay? But we're going to go ahead and watch Seattle here and watch where Aaron Donald comes from. Seattle is trying to slide to that, or excuse me, we're not going to watch Aaron Donald first. My apologies. The first thing we're going to get at is the flats action by the Seahawks. So a lot of people were saying throughout this that the way to attack this Rams defense is to attack the flats. And they're absolutely right. So the Seahawks are trying this when they get a little bit of read action, just kind of chip release from the tight end, and they're going to try to hit a little follow route behind it, or a read route with this running back into the wheel. So they're going to read the tight end first, and Russ has to come off of that because they're sitting over the top of it in a quarters coverage look. And we'll go through what quarters coverage is on the whiteboard in a little bit. And then he's going to have to come off of that and throw late to the flats here. If you throw late to the flats, these Rams are really good at rallying to it, right? That's a short gain. That's something that Mike Pettin and the Green Bay Packers are more than willing to allow on their defense. So it only makes sense that the Rams are going to allow it as well. They're going to go ahead and live with a 2-3 yard gain to the flats, okay? So if you're going to hit them in the flats, you got to hit them early. There's no doubt about it. You got to hit that flat early and then go let that special athlete make something happen when he's up here at what we call the hard deck, or this level. If you hit him late, you'll see Russ kind of double clutches this. You hit them late, they're going to more than rally to the flats and chop that thing down. So flats are definitely something that the Packers can hit, and I'll show you on the whiteboard in a little bit. But the real concern is you got to hit them early or they're going to rally really quickly to it. Now we're getting to the end zone clip. My apologies, I'm being kind of out of order there. But now we're going to go ahead and get to some end zone stuff, or this view here where we're looking behind the offensive line. And we're going to take a look at some of the really nasty stuff that the Rams do with their defensive line and just their simple alignments to get Aaron Donald in the best possible position for them to go ahead and attack. So you can see here, numbers-wise, initially, Seattle's going to keep their 5 offensive linemen in and then obviously try to keep in a numbers advantage with this running back in the pass protection scheme. And as they run this, they're running what's called a man slide protection. So the center over to the right tackle are all going to slide, and then it'll put the left guard and the left tackle one-on-one. And this is a pretty good offensive line scheme for this particular play because the Rams are bringing 5. So if you've got 5, you should be one-on-one, and then this back is just kind of an extra dude to help out wherever he deems fit. However, this dude, for some reason, is fitting out here for some sort of delay rush when it's absolutely apparent that Aaron Donald has that guard beat one-on-one. So one of 2 things should have happened here for Seattle, and it's something that the Green Bay Packers absolutely have to be aware of. If you've got a wide alignment like this from the defensive end, see the distance he has between here and the tackle? That tackle should step inside first, especially knowing he's got help here from the tailback. The tackle should step inside first. When he comes way out, then this offensive lineman simply reads it. He's like, nope, he's coming way out to me. He's what's called fanning out to me. So I can go ahead and drop and spy on that mobile quarterback. By then, Aaron Donald is already around that guard and bull rushing. And he's going to come here for the sack. Like, that's just nasty. That's just mean. Right? Like, he's one-on-one with a left guard. He just literally bulls right through him and goes and lays on top of Russ. Like, that's not nice. Russ has a family, man. Be a little bit nicer. So then, yeah, that's nasty. But this one, this is even worse. Like, this is brutal. I'm going to get to those comments here in just a moment. I didn't forget. I'm going to go check them in just a minute. But we're going to see this big slide here from the Seahawks. This is a long down and distance play. And look at what the Rams have done here. Okay? This wide alignment by Donald, and then the even wider alignment out here by the defensive end, means this nose can now come in here. So no matter what the Seahawks do here, they're kind of wrong. This is just nasty. Now, obviously, this doesn't work in a running down. You can't have this happen. But now Seattle's going to have to pick which way they slide, and either way, they're wrong. If they man slide this way, that's fine. They're 3-on-3, and the Rams think they can win that. If they instead go ahead and man slide the other way, use these 2 to lock out, and then slide this way, well, you got nobody to block this dude except for a running back, and that's a mismatch, right? So now they're like, well, this kind of sucks. So they're going to do their very best. Poor number 68, he's going to try. You know, he's really going to try, but this is a great matchup by the Rams to get their dude one-on-one with a guard. Look at how fast Aaron Donald covers ground. He's out here in what we call a wide 5 technique, and he's going to slam super hard right into the breastplate of the guard. And you're going to have to block Aaron Donald with all that speed one-on-one. It's just not going to work for you, man. And I strongly suspect that the Rams are going to employ this type of pressure and this type of alignment against Lucas Patrick. And then they're going to get out into that previous one and do that against Billy Turner and try to get the very best alignment mismatches that they can get with their stud, Aaron Donald. Also, they got a couple of pass rushers like Leonard Floyd, who ain't no slouch either. Okay? So they can do some really nasty stuff on that. You have to be careful on it. Okay? Let's take a look at their overall defense now and just some of the things that kind of are scary or even a little bit, possibly a little bit concerning. Okay, so we're going to watch this Cardinals game here because they did some really cool stuff here. In the first play from scrimmage, you're going to see Kyler's going to send a dude in motion. Now, the Cardinals use all sorts of motion, and they're crazy with it. You know, they've got jet motion coming across, and then this dude's going to orbit back, and you're going to watch this poor dude be in all sorts of conflict. They do a lot more motion like that, which looks a little more like the college game with Kingsbury. But the big thing to keep in mind here is the personnel set, that the Cardinals are using. When they are in 11 personnel, which means they have a tight end or an H-back in the game somewhere, inside this tackle box, and they also have a running back. So 1 tight end, 1 running back. That means the Rams are going to this look. They're going to a 3 front, and then they're going to go ahead and pop their outside backers here. Very, very similar to what the Green Bay Packers are up. Okay? So the Cardinals, for some reason, are going to try to run inside zone against this, which means this dude has to cover up this inside shoulder, this dude has to cover up this inside shoulder right here, and then try to double this thing and take it back to that backer. Okay? This is honestly a dumb play call. But whatever. Okay, they're going to bring that tight end back to try to crack this dude, and there's no way you're going to get that type of movement against this D-line. They're just way too good. So the running back here initially sees this hole, but also sees the drop safety coming to fill this alley, and he's like, nope, I'm going to go ahead and try my best to get outside, and it's just not going to work. Okay, you're not going to get that type of movement on inside zone against this defense, but you can get it on wide zone, which thankfully for you Packer fans, that's exactly what the Packers run. So you're not looking for hard, heavy, just bulldozing movement in wide zone. What you're really looking for is the ability to hook that defensive line. Now let's start talking some secondary stuff, because this is where it gets really fun, really nasty. Okay, this is the dude everybody's talking about, right? Jalen Ramsey. Look, he's one-on-one with an elite receiver right here, right? That's DeAndre Hopkins. Like, that's a dude too. Okay. Unfortunately, for the Cardinals, they really thought their dude was better than this dude, and there were many times when he just wasn't. And because they thought that, because they tried to force everything to Hop, they left a lot of yards on the field in this game. Okay, so let's watch this thing develop. Hop is going to run what's called a little sit route, okay? And you can see the Rams are again in their too high shell, and I'll take you through that when we go to the whiteboard. But he's just going to come out and run a little stick or snag or sit or whatever you want to call it, like an inside hitch when he's inside the seams, and he's just going to pivot. Now, Kyler's going to try to force that here, and they have an inside backer and a corner around it. So they've covered up this route really well. Now, obviously, if there's two dudes covering this guy, there's literally nobody out here in the flats. This is what I was talking about a little earlier when we watched the Seattle game. You hit the flats early. Okay, Hopkins taking up all that attention right here, right? If that dude's getting all that attention, they literally have nobody left for homeboy here, and you'll see this thing develop. This is a bad read by Kyler. He should see an inside backer and a corner both collapsing on it. That's a miscommunication. My guess is the corner should have faulted out, but I'm not exactly sure of their coverage check, because they might have just glued him on and expected that inside linebacker to flow over the top. But this is a bad read. You're literally throwing into double coverage, which means this dude right here, you're wide open. Best case scenario, this safety drills down and only gets him for a gain of 12, right? But again, you've got a special athlete out in space against a safety. Like, that's literally what you scheme up. My guess is that's an inside linebacker fault, okay? That's what I'm charting it down as. I'm thinking that they're trying to play a little bit of catch coverage, catch man with Jalen Ramsey on Hop, trying to funnel him into a safety or into an inside linebacker, and then trying to fold out to the flats with that inside backer. But look at all the green space, dude. Throw the check down. Don't force it to your dude. Thankfully, for you Packer fans, Rodgers, a little bit better than Kyler Murray in that regard at least, okay? So the next play we're going to go to, we're going to see another wide open opportunity for Arizona. As we start to roll this sucker, watch this. What's going to happen is a little bit of a mesh concept. So you're going to take the shallow here across, and you're going to put this inside linebacker in what's called conflict, or a high-low conflict, when you drag him across this way. Then he's going to go up, and he's going to come out and take the little sit. Okay? That's the route combo that they have on. This linebacker and this dropping safety should be in conflict, because one of these two has to run with the under. That means the other one has to run with the over. Watch what happens. Nobody runs with the over. Who's going to guard this dude right now? There's nobody in the screen. You got one safety with his hips flipped this way. Throw the ball to that. That's literally your read, Kyler. And that is what it is. I haven't studied enough tape on Kyler Murray to really say one way or the other. But look at this dude. Look at this dude. Okay? Throw the ball there. Take your layups. They have some absolute problems in the secondary if you can get that ball out to him. And it's not really the secondary per se. That's a miscommunication with the linebacker and the safety. Somebody's going to have to run with the over while somebody drills down and robs the under. Unfortunately, for them anyways, they both run down to the under. This dude, triple covered. Look, he's got a corner out, he's got an inside backer, and he's got a safety on him. There's nobody left for this dude. Okay, so that's something the Packers can exploit. A little bit later in the game, oh, yep, there's where I'm yelling at that dude, throw the ball. A little bit later in the game, though, they actually do go ahead and find this, and I'm going to show you here in what's called a slot cross. Okay, so they're going to do a ton of motion here, and I should rewind it back to it, because initially they start with this big dude, Dan Arnold, I believe his name is, that big tight end. They're going to start him on the line with a slot off the line, and then they're going to go into trade motion. And anytime you can get this secondary and this defense to have to communicate, especially with trade motion, they slip off a little bit, okay? They have some struggles getting through this. So I want you to keep your eye on this dude right here. Now watch the miscommunication that occurs right about in this level. So the first thing they did was trade and put their big dude on the line, take this little skinny dude and take him all the way off of the line. Now you can see all the miscommunication that's happening, because the Rams like to set their defensive strength to the passing strength, and that has now changed with this dude coming up. So you got some miscommunication here. You're trying to get the call into your linebackers as well, and you don't have to wait for the defense once you get set. You have to count 1,000 and go. Now the motion is going to cause even greater miscommunication. Watch these two. They're going to miscommunicate. These safeties are trying to talk to each other, but one of them don't get the call. Okay? He's saying, get over, get over, get over. Now there's orbit motion again. Oh crap, we literally have no idea where to go. Now look at this right here. See that little skinny post on that slot cross? You got three dudes that should be staying over the top of it, right? And this dude is taking this dude out of the picture. So that's called a runoff. He's just going to run him off, okay? And then he's going to probably break just to drag him down a little bit more. But watch this tight end. As they come through that and they miscommunicate, there's nobody left for him. Hey, guys, you should probably cover that dude. That's not a good look for you. This is about 4 plays after they missed him on the initial slot cross. They knew they could get him going the other way. Kyler throws a layup. He catches it on the 25. It's a foot race and a bad angle for a safety. Dude's just going to go score and plant that sucker. So as good as this secondary is, y'all, there definitely are some abilities to exploit it. And it starts at that inside linebacker level. If you can get them guessing at inside linebacker level, you can do some really, really nice things, and then all of a sudden screw up their rules once you start to understand them. Okay, so I'm going to start breaking down what they do defensively. Obviously, if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, throw them in the chat. I know I'm not always the best at keeping up on that, so I'm going to keep trying. But what the Rams like to do, the Rams are going to be in black, the Packers will be in blue, okay? The offense will be in blue. Let's just set this thing up in a pretty standard, really easy formation we call doubles, okay? So, there's your offensive formation. What the Rams are going to try to do is play a lot of what's called quarters defense, okay? So 1/4 or quarters. You know this as cover 4, okay? But this isn't your grandpa's cover 4. This is what's called read cover 4, and I'll take you through that in just a moment, okay? So if we see this look, we know the Rams are probably going to be in a forefront here, trying to get some pressure on, and then they're going to start setting their secondary in a cover 4 type of look. Here, 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 get an outside backer and an outside backer. Now as we do our count to make sure that we have 11 on the field, that only leaves one dude left, right? If we're going to play quarters with a 2-high set, that's only going to leave one more dude left. We got 4 here, we got 4 here, we got 2 outside backers. That means we can only have 1 inside backer, okay? If we can get that kid in conflict, we're in good shape. So their coverage rules are really, really easy. He's a run-first player, and then when he gets his run-pass read from the tackle, he's reading the tackle's helmet screws, then he's going to go to the flats. Same thing over here. Run-first player, get his read here, and he's going to go to the flats. He's going to try to wall off that number 2 receiver or kind of hit him on his way out to the flats. And then everything behind it, he's going to play some spy or some low hole, or he'll take the running back man, or there's a bunch of different variations there. But then the whole premise of quarters coverage is that this dude has the deep quarter of the field here. This dude's got this deep quarter here. This dude, the free, has that deep quarter. And then obviously that leaves the corner with that deep quarter. It's the don't get beat deep defense, right? But they do it a little bit different with some modern mag rules, and they can have a whole lot of fun with it based on the route combos and stuff like that. So they do a really, really nice job on it. One thing they're always beat on, a quarters coverage or cover 4 is always going to get beat on this concept, okay? So I'll show you here in just a moment once I get all my crazy squiggles off the whiteboard here. There's a concept that is always going to beat quarters coverage just based on their rules, okay? Throw our outside backer back in there. My apologies. We'll go black because he's a Ram, okay? The rules are pretty simple, okay? He's reading number 2. he's reading. He can read 1 and read coverage. He'll read he'll read 2 and read coverage. Let's just say for fun's sake, he's reading number 1. Same thing over here. The safety's reading number 2 and the corner's reading number 1. Okay? The rules state, right here is what we call the hard deck, or the hip of the outside linebacker. Okay? The rules state if this guy breaks the hips of the outside backer, or goes deeper than the hips, he's yours, man to man. Okay? Same thing here. If he breaks the hips, as the corner's reading this, he went deeper than the hips of the outside backer, then he's yours man to man. So, when this happens, you can run what's called a dig route here, and then that safety has to drill down, right? Because he's yours man to man. He broke the hard deck. Then this receiver here, because that corner is outside aligned, he just runs a post. Now that that safety had to come down on the dig concept, there's nobody left right here. Go ahead and throw the post, okay? Very simple concept that everybody runs. It's called mills, or that's what we call them, okay? Mills, or post dig. So if you're seeing a lot of quarters coverage, look for this sucker to come out. That's a touchdown over the top. I mean, the corner's on the outside. He's trailing. If that dude can catch a ball, that's a touchdown, right? So one of the ways the Rams like to counter that is to give a quarters look, and they love this, and they're really good at it too. Okay? It's called spinner defense, and I'll show you here in just a second. Before I get rid of these dudes, I'd like you all to kind of take a look at it because I'm going to need the whiteboard room. Okay? At Pack Daddy, at JJ Leahy, and if you feel like supporting financially, find those dudes on what's called patreon.com. Give them a little money because they're the ones who make all this happen. Okay? Don't give me money. I'm wildly overpaid as it is. Okay? So, we're going to get rid of them, and we're going to draw up spinner coverage. Spinner looks like quarters, and it's a tricky thing sometimes for newer quarterbacks or inexperienced quarterbacks to pick up on. Not Rodgers. Please understand that. I have to laugh every single time somebody says the coverages were confusing Rodgers. Like, there's not a coverage in the world that's ever confused Rodgers, but that's just my personal opinion. Okay? So, one of the things that they really like to do, and it's not to confuse Rodgers per se, but it's to hopefully confuse those receivers. One of the things they really like to do is do a spinner defense, where it looks like quarters pre-snap, right? That's the exact same alignment pre-snap. And then what they like to do, if let's say they're bringing pressure or something like that, they will spin the safety down to the flats on one side. Spin him down. Now he's got where that backer was. Now, you have the deep third, because we only have 3 dudes left. You have the middle third, and this corner has that deep third. And again, usually they run them off of read rules, which means you still have the flats covered by that backer. Now, this backer is free to do whatever he wants, okay? You can, at times, send both of them. That's kind of nasty, right? Something like that, whatever. You can run any blitz package you want with 6-man pressure, and you can still play catch 3 under it, okay? Or, excuse me, read 3 over it. Or you can just bring 5, keep him in the low hole, and you can still bring some pressure. Whatever you want to do. They love doing this, okay? So we got some spinner coverage here, still rolling off of read rules, the same basic rules that I taught you in that read defense. But this looks nasty, right? Because now all of a sudden you can't throw that post. There's a hawk sitting right over the top of it, right? Now that corner is funneling that to it. So one of the things the Packers really, really depend on their receivers to do is read this post-snap, okay? So they have a lot of what are called option routes. Man, I make a mess on this whiteboard. They have a lot of what are called option routes, and I do see those questions. My apologies. I will get to them in just a moment, okay? This pumps me up. The ability to run option routes, if you have smart receivers, the ability to run options routes, it's just nasty. Okay? It's just mean. It really, really isn't fair. For a defense, I don't care. So, let's just say we have that same pre-snap look, right? Where it can be spinner cover 3, or it can be true quarters. We don't know. Okay? They're giving us the exact same look. Sometimes, what they do is a nasty little concept called HOSS. H-O-S-S. HOSS. Which means hitch, outside, slot, seam. Okay? Hitch, outside, slot, seam. So, run a hitch here, run a seam here. Then, run a hitch here, and run a seam here. So, okay, that would look kind of good if it was spinner cover 3, so sweet. If this dude's dropping down, well, that H has to pick between one of those two. One of those dudes is probably going to be open, right? Because they're running right down the seam. You got a 2-on-1 look. So if it does end up being spinner cover 3, one of those dudes is open. But here's the magic of it. This is so nasty. Let's just say that there's a, you're not quite sure, okay? You're a quarterback, you're not quite sure, and boom, this corner bails, and this outside backer, especially off of play action, is a little late to the flats. Well, just throw your hitch, yo. Just take your layups, right? Go ahead and take your 6-7 yards that they're going to give you. Stay ahead of the chains. Keep rolling down. Then, another coverage that they could see. So that's, I mean, that's easy for receivers, right? Nothing has really changed. So, another coverage you could see that stays in this look is a really hard, if you hit that enough, if you hit that hitch route enough, they're probably going to get into a little bit harder cover 2, which means the corner comes down and plays the flats now. Corner flats, corner flats. You're going to play a little bit of hook curl, and middle. So cover 2 is really doing a good job of taking away those under routes, right? This is where the Packers are dangerous because now they're asking their slot receivers to read that corner. If that corner comes down and plays that flat, now they get real nasty with it. Now instead of running that seam, they can just run that sucker out or run a little bit of a fade. Now, there's no way those safeties are getting there in time. Now, post-snap, it becomes either a smash concept or hitch fade. H-I-T-C-H, spelling's hard. Okay? It can become either one of those concepts. Now, if you have the world's best quarterback ever sitting back here and just reading this, he can see, okay, sweet, my receivers read it correctly. I'm going to go take this. Or, even more fun, awesome, my really smart receiver, this might be Tay, okay? He read that thing correctly. He hit the seam. There's no way that safety's getting there in time. I have the arm strength to hit that hole shot. If it's not a huge gain, it's a touchdown, okay? One of those two, like, if they complete that. So that's just a little glimpse into the option routes that they have against all these coverages. In just a moment, after I get to the questions, we'll take a look at why play action is so dope for them. So, Eamon, sorry, buddy. I know this has been out here for a minute. I'm just getting to it now. My apologies, dude. I get all sorts of jacked up with this stuff. Hey, Coach, what would you say would be some signs to look for in the early drives to show how the Packers are going to cope with the Rams' D? Love it. One of the things I'm looking for, Eamon, first and foremost, is how do the Packers respond to pressure? Okay? If the Rams are going to be bringing some 5-man, maybe even 6-man pressure, how are the Packers going to respond to that? What are their offensive line schemes to pick that up? And are they going to throw hot off of it? So what I mean by throw hot is, let's just say for fun, we've got an 11 personnel set, so we can get those Rams into that 3-down set that we've seen them go in. Here, 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 outside backer, okay? Now, I want to know if my dudes have the ability to throw hot off of this. Okay, he's got to be off the line. Can we throw hot? Which means, if these dudes are coming in, can we read this quick enough here? If we get this sort of pressure look, do we have the ability to read that and simply snag it? Do we have the ability with our receivers and our quarterback to hit that sucker hot or replace the blitzing backer with the ball? If we do, they're probably not going to blitz much. If we don't, we're going to be in trouble. Also, I want to know how my offensive line communicates and how that tailback gets the call. So usually the offensive line is going to get a little call here. Let's say they're going to go full slide on this. They're thinking it might be pressure, so they're all going to slide this way to pick it up. Well, that tailback has to know he's got to fit in right here. Okay? Usually what happens is your center makes the offensive line call, the quarterback gets that call as well, relays it to the tailback. Sometimes, because your quarterback can see the whole field, say you've got a safety that's drilling in and getting a little nosy, he'll override that offensive line call. And he'll say, no, full slide, whatever the code word is for that. Then they'll full slide that, tell the tailback where to go, and boom. So if you can pick it up with either hot throws or go ahead and make your offensive line calls to pick that pressure up, then you're going to be in great shape. Then you can back that defense off a little bit. If the Rams aren't coming with pressure right away, I expect to see a whole lot of wide zone, whole lot of Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, those dudes just running the snot out of wide zone. Great question. Thank you. I apologize for getting to it way too late. BRM says, I've always heard of cover 4 palms. How is that different from a traditional cover 4? Great question. Traditionally, what palms is an adjustment here in an attempt to stay gap sound on the backside of trips while keeping too high. Okay? So palms has the ability to keep a will backer, your outside linebacker, on this side, because what a lot of teams are going to try to do is get trips going to one side, get you to overload that side, and then try to run away from it. Okay? If they get you to overload your defense here, let's say you align your free here, your corner here, your outside backer here, your hawk or your other safety right dead in the middle of the field, which that is not. Okay? But say you got that alignment going on, palms will allow you to kind of move these dudes over to now where your buck can be over point or just slightly aligned inside. It depends on how you like to do it. Obviously depends on your front for how many dudes you got left. But it allows you to kind of move over a little bit here and still hang a dude backside. Okay? Palms is an adjustment for trips. And it's a way to keep that weak side solid and also still keep a too high look. Great question, dude. Palms is nasty at times. We love it at the high school level anyways. We love running trips because we don't think all the time that that teams adjust to trips well. Anytime we see palms, we're like, ooh, we're in for a ride tonight. Like, this is a good opponent. They understand how to adjust to trips. So, good question there. Levi says, oh, that hitch seams play in Madden. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you can get hitch seams going in Madden, especially when they're running some sort of either invert cover 2, where that corner is bailing, that safety has to run all the way down to the hitch, or just a hard cover 2 where that corner's sitting in there and that seam can get up behind him. Oof, she can be nasty. Goose says, yo, I'm late, but I'm here to party. Yo, we're partying already. I broke a sweat, dude. Like, we had a little bit of technical difficulties that made me sweat in the beginning, but getting on the whiteboard already, baby. I'm ready to party. This is awesome. Thanks for joining, Goose. Mark says, first time, great stuff. Mark, thank you so much for being here. We just like to have a lot of fun here. Appreciate you, buddy. Goose says, sorry if this has been asked, but is the pony package a good way to attack the Rams D? Goose, that sounds kind of like a call word. If you could please in the comments explain to me what you mean by pony package, simply because I'm unfamiliar, so I'd love to see that. Travis says, what's the difference between the will backer and the mic? Here we go. Let's talk some defense, baby. Good question, Travis. Let's talk about that, okay? Depending on how many defensive linemen you have, that tells you how many linebackers you can have on the field. Okay, so let's just go in a relatively standard set. Let's just say that you're going to play the old 4-4 country cover 3, which for some reason, if you watch the national championship game, Ohio State was in 4-4 cover 3 without a read, and they just thought that their Mike or their inside linebacker would be able to run with a slot receiver who happened to win a Heisman. So obviously that didn't work out for them. But let's go to a 4-4 just to demonstrate this, which means you have 4 down defensive linemen, and then you have 4 linebackers. To the weak side, you'll have a will backer, an outside backer, or a will. Okay? Then the weak side backer is called the will, because his name starts with a W. Then you'll have what's called a Mike backer, or the middle backer, because his name starts with an M. Then we have what's called the Sam backer, or the strong side inside linebacker. And then we have a buck backer, okay? Because it's a B. B for buck, S for Sam, M for Mike, W for will. That way we can just scream out instead of saying, hey, weak side outside linebacker. Now we can just scream will, and he knows what his name is, okay? Or he knows what position he is. So, going into it, what the differences are, he's an outside linebacker, OLB, and he goes to the weak side, or to the same side as the nose. He goes away from the 3-tech, which is the strong side guy. So he's a weak side, outside backer. This guy is a strong side, outside linebacker. Okay? So we call him the buck. He's still an OLB, outside linebacker. We call him the buck. These two dudes are inside linebackers, ILB. ILB. The Mike is usually, now in a 4-4 cover 3 type of setup, he's usually your heavy hitter, your snotty kid, right? Because he's got to drill down hard and take B gap here, but he might also have to drill down and take on that. And then out of any sort of power stuff or anything like that, there might be times he has to take on a fullback or a pulling guard, and any ISO stuff, he's got to take a fullback head on. okay? The Sam, or the strong side inside linebacker, okay? He's got to be a little bit, he's got to have some snot in him, right? He's got to be a tough, heavy hitter, but he's also got to be a little bit more athletic because he's got some ground to cover at times. This kid's got to be really athletic. You're going to ask him to do a lot of things. Sometimes, even like the mean thing that you have him do is when you get power type of looks where he's channeling up, he's going to pull, you're going to ask this dude to come down and hard joint a pulling guard. So that dude's going to get like a 6-yard head start and try to run as fast as he can into the buck linebacker. That dude's got to hard joint it or set the edge really, really hard sometimes, okay? So he's got to be a really athletic dude that can also cover. And then the will backer here, traditionally, well, at times, he's the one you kind of want to hide, and you can hide him with protection or coverage or whatever you got to do, okay? Which, this is what I played because I wasn't a very good linebacker, okay? But that weak side outside linebacker, he's got a lot of coverage responsibilities. You want him to be really athletic. He's going to have some late edge responsibility, but not as much as this dude, definitely not as much as this dude or that dude. Okay, so that's how you describe it. And then obviously you can have a 3 front, you can have a 4-2-5. There's all sorts of ways you can set your defense up. But when I say that will backer, I mean that weak side outside linebacker. Okay, great question. Love it, Travis. Levi, how can the Packers attack the Rams with their running game? Yes, I like this Levi dude. Let's talk run game. What the Rams have shown time and time again is a relative inability to adjust to motion and trade motion very well. We just saw it a ton of it on the film, right? So the Packers love running wide zone, and they love running it out of different personnel packages and a whole lot of different motions. But at the end of the day, the Packers are a wide zone running team. So let's just have fun. Let's put the pork package in, okay? Or the big boys. Let's go out of what we call 12 personnel, so 1 running back, 2 tight ends, okay? And I'll show you how the Rams will likely align to this. They'll likely give you a nose and end, either in a head up right here over the nose of the tackle, or they might even bump him inside and give you a couple of 4 eyes. And then they'll give you an outside linebacker here, and then 2 inside linebackers. Remember, the Mike and the Sam, okay? What the Packers are going to try to do is get their tight end to push. Get him to wall that outside linebacker, that buck, out, okay? Then they're going to try to hook this defensive end, but they're going to use the tackle to stop him a little bit and then get up to that Sam backer. This is what we call that double team, right? The tackle can take a little bit of a false step and kind of give that dude an arm or a shove just to make sure that that play side guard can get around him. And then they'll cheat him up and try to take off that Sam backer. Then the center, his job is to hook the nose, and then same thing here. We've got a duo combo here, okay? So he's going to try to wall off that end so the tackle can reach him, and then flatten out to the Mike's path where he thinks the Mike is going to go. Sometimes they can make a call backside here, where if this guard doesn't think he has the ability to hit backside and still intercept the Mike, that's fine. He's allowed to just fly and then trust that backside tackle to hook that D end. And then here, there's all sorts of fun things you can do. Right now, because we don't have any motion, let's just say he's going to hook that. Now, what the tailback has to do is, as he comes on his outside zone path, this is outside zone right, my apologies, I should have explained that, is he's looking at this dude right here, the first down lineman off of the center to the play side. In this case, this defensive end. If we get this thing reached, if the guard gets around his side, sweet. Then that means we can go ahead and take the edge, okay? And we can get out and we can run wide. However, sometimes these dudes are really good. With the Rams, these dudes are really good. That's why it's really important to have a running back who can make these reads instantly, okay? Let's say we try to hook him, we try to get around him, and he's stretching out wide. He won't let us hook him, okay? He just keeps taking this thing wide. Then on this path, the tailback's got to read it right after he gets the mesh or that handoff from the quarterback, and he's got to, if this end is stretching this thing out wide, let's say he's out here now, you got to put your foot in the ground and get north violently, okay? You get 1 cut in the backfield. You either run that sucker to the sideline or you get 1 cut. If you dance, you're dead, because all these mean dudes are coming right at you, okay? That's why a lot of times you see, like, I hear a lot of people saying, like, oh, where's A.J. Dillon? Where's Jamal Williams? We need a little more violent runner. My guess is Aaron Jones is back here because he makes this read a little bit faster than anybody else just yet. That's my guess. So that's one of the ways that they can attack is run wide zone. We've seen these inside backers be a little bit susceptible to it, right? A little bit of communication issues. So one of the other wrinkles they'll do is they'll use some motion to screw with these guys. You've got your M receiver here who's off the line, which means he can go in motion. Let's just jet him across, okay? See how those guys react. Are they going to bump over to try to take care of this now trips look over here with a nub tight end? Or you could do what Arizona did and orbit them. So these guys start going this way, now they got to come back this way. Now that path is easier to get there. Okay? Great question. I love when we get to talk running the football, baby. Great question. Love it, Levi. Thank you. 2 running backs and shotgun on either side of Rodgers. 20 personnel. So I'm assuming, Goose, that's what we call the pony package. This is awesome. It's nasty. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this too. Okay? Let's just say out of 20 personnel, we're not going to have a tight end on the field, okay? That means we're going to only have one slot, and then we have an H and a T back here. Pony package. The really nice thing about some of this stuff is all the different misdirection you can do out of it. Now, they're going to pack the box, and you only got 5 blockers in this scenario, so it's not great. So you're relying on a little misdirection or some read stuff from Rodgers, okay? But let's just say they're going to go ahead and pack the box on this. That's not where nose is aligned. Come on, Hawn. Okay? You're going to have an outside backer who reduces down because he doesn't have a threat right here in the slot. You're going to have an outside backer that's going to probably play up a little bit more. And then you're going to have a Mike and a Sam, right? Now you can get your corner, single high look. Awesome. Okay? What the Packers can do here, and what they've shown a lot of, is this. Okay? Run a little inside zone, run a little outside zone. I don't care. Run either one you want to do. And at the snap, the H crosses the face while the T hits the flat. And all Aaron Rodgers is doing in this scenario is reading what this guy's going to do. Okay? Is he going to fold over the top to go +1 against that? If so, pull that ball out of the mesh point, juice it to this kid in the flats, because that dude probably doesn't have anything else going on. Okay? Go hit that sucker in the flats right away if that outside backer wants to get nosy. If he doesn't get nosy, let's just say, okay, we've got a packed box here, and this outside backer, he's going to go ahead and slow play this or run to the flats or come down here. He's not folding into the box per se. Well, that's pretty easy. Okay, we can go get a crack here, get a crack here. Now this path takes you up and you can wall off that mic. Now you can go put your foot in the ground here or here, depending on where that crack comes from the M, and you can go gain some yards on the inside while keeping that outside backer out of the box. So, pony package definitely can put them in some conflict. The greatest thing about pony package, though, in this type of set, is it gets them out of their too high look, right? If they want to stay in a too high look here, they got to take one of these backers out. So one of those 4 backers has to go up if they want to stay in that too high look and protect against some of that play action stuff. That way, the only unblocked dude here, theoretically, is the corner. And again, just like I was saying last night, if you joined me then, corners are traditionally the worst tacklers on the team. I know there are good tackling corners. Don't come at me with that. But traditionally, you want a really good blocking scheme to leave that corner unblocked. Make that corner and that safety make a play on your tailback. If a tailback gets out here to the edge cleanly and he can't run over or make a corner miss, thanks for trying, buddy, but you got to go to the bench. We need a new tailback. Okay? Great question. I love it. Yeah, pony package. Levi again. Are the Rams vulnerable to jet sweeps and RPOs? Yes. So essentially what we just drew up here out of pony package, this is an RPO. This is a run pass option. Because it happens so fast here. See, Racer's going nuts. All right? Because it happens so fast here, this is an RPO. It happens fast enough to where these offensive linemen don't get down the field. So this one would actually be a little bit better if it was a lock RPO here, and everybody just ran because now we've got everybody protected, right? Now we're going to read this buck backer. So we have the ability to run the ball or pass it on the swing. That's an RPO, or run pass option. They are vulnerable to that, as we've seen right here, right? If this dude wants to fold in the box and go be +1 to help stop the run, sweet. We'll just throw it where he isn't anymore. If this dude wants to slow play it here, we've got everybody in the box blocked up. We should theoretically get some yards. Now, there are some really cool things that defenses can do to stop an RPO. Well, for the most part, yeah, they're definitely susceptible to RPO. Any team, any defensive team, if it's the Rams or I don't know who the worst defense is in the league, let's say, well, for fun's sake, because everyone's picking on them, let's say it's the Jets. Anybody can be susceptible to jet sweep depending on what your edge players are doing. And this is something that is definitely handled up in the box. Your offensive coordinator or whoever's spotting it, they're definitely looking for it. Okay? A lot of times you see dummy jet motion just to see how people will adjust or maybe get better blocking angles or whatever that is. However, every once in a great while, you'll see them stop respecting it. Okay? Start getting a little lazy on it or whatever. You run it enough, they're like, oh, that's definitely not happening, whatever. I can go and make a play in here. So a lot of times what you'll see, in a jet sweep type of setup, so here you can see we have 5, but we got 6 in the box, so we got a numbers disadvantage. So a lot of times, let's just say we're running inside zone here, and we're going to bring this kid across, and say we brought him across a billion times. Okay? We've got an outside backer here who can be blocked. We've got a corner here who can be blocked because we have the receivers for it. Let's just say we ran jet a bunch of times, and eventually this DN gets greedy and starts folding in to make that play. If we see that happen at all on jet, then all of a sudden we just call it hot. Okay? So then a lot of times the tailback doesn't even really know. We just get that ball, snap that sucker. Before the tailback even takes the mesh, you soft toss it. Okay? You catch the snap and soft toss it to this dude coming across. If you soft toss it, then even if he bungles it and it falls on the ground, it's just an incomplete pass. You live to see another down without the threat of turning the ball over. Okay? But this dude is just screaming across. You soft toss it because this dude's folding in and this dude's getting cracked. Now he can go get that edge. Every defense is susceptible to it. It all depends on how that backside is playing it. Great question. Goose says, I think the Packers run it with 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, but Tunyon stands slightly off the line. Same kind of thought in that pony package. Wherever you put that slot receiver, a lot of times they'll tighten him in and reduce him down just to try to get another hat in the run game. But yeah, great question. Goose says, I love when they use it against the Bears, 5 to 10 yard flat passes to Jones every time. Yeah, I mean that run pass option stuff, especially at a pony, that can get nasty. Especially for an aggressive defense. Like if they're going +1 into the run game, yeah, that stuff can get wild. So thank you for all the questions. Really appreciate it. Keep them coming because we're going to be here for a little while since we got started late and it's Friday night. My daughter has kind of a later bedtime tonight, so I'm going to be here for a little bit just talking some offensive ball with you. Okay? Now we had already talked about option routes before, and this is something the Packers do so well, and that's why Aaron kind of gets that, Aaron Rodgers kind of gets that bad guy vibe at times in the press and stuff like that because you see him yelling at receivers and stuff like that. Well, it's because if they don't run their routes right and they're not on the same page, they're leaving Aaron Rodgers out to dry. Okay? So, let's just say, again, out of a very basic offensive set with no motion, we're literally just looking at doubles. A couple of option routes you have are based on what are called capped, uncapped rules, okay? And CAP stands for CAP is an acronym, CAP is an acronym for coverage alignment personnel, okay? But essentially what they're looking at is where are these guys aligned pre-snap, okay? Do we have the ability pre-snap to go ahead and take advantage of something? You can see here, this pre-snap, you have the ability to take care of something with this X. He can stutter up and go. Now that corner is inside aligned and he's given this up, so if you can hit that hole shot, take that hole shot, okay? That's where you want to go first in the coverage alignment pre-snap. However, let's just say as the ball snapped and he starts on his release, this corner bails like wild to take that off, okay? He's trying to get on top of you. He knows that route is coming. Well, that's cool because now you're covered here, over the top, a coverage and alignment, or maybe even personnel, if this is number 20, okay, whatever, he's taking that away, you can just snap that sucker off right here. Now, you and the quarterback have to be on the exact same page, seeing the exact same thing. But as that corner is turning to just fly and take away that fade route, you can literally just stop at your hard deck. For most teams, it's 8 yards, or the hip of the outside back, or whatever it is. If that guy's got you beat to where you want to go, stop. Don't keep running where he's going to go. He's going to win. Okay? Instead, just stop and snap that route off to a hitch, to an out, to a little comeback, whatever it is. Okay? Snap that sucker off, and that ball should already be in the air. You turn around and catch it. A lot of times you see this with younger receivers in the old Rodgers game here, where they're going to be here, and they're going to still just take this thing. And Rodgers throws that ball out here, and we're all like, what? And the announcers go crazy. Oh, there's a miscommunication there. Well, it actually is a miscommunication. because this rum-dum did the wrong thing. He was capped. Rogers read it as capped. He threw the ball to where that kid should have been. He wasn't there. Okay? So a whole lot of opportunities. That's just one option route of like a billion. There's a billion option routes. And the Packers expect their receivers to read a coverage just as well as Rogers does. Okay? So let's just say you got an option route on over here, and there's a billion different ways to call them, but let's just say for fun, we've got an option route on to the X. And his option is, if you continue to see, let's just say we've got this dig route coming. Okay? If you continue to see quarters or cover 4, what you do with the X is you go ahead and hit that post. Because remember, that hawk has to come down to respect the dig. So if you see true, and as he releases, he's just watching that hawk. Okay? If you see true quarters, well, cool. Go get yourself a touchdown that way. However, maybe they're going to run some spinner cover 3 to where now that hawk is going to bail out to the middle of the field. And let's say this guy is dropping down into the flats. Okay? Well, that kind of sucks, especially if you have outside alignment. So you're going to keep the dig wrap here to hold this and to hold his thought. And then you take that post way skinnier. Don't run that sucker into the hawk. Okay? If you run a normal post, you're going to run it right into that dude. Instead, run that thing really skinny and go ahead and just box out that corner, if you will. So they ask their receivers to read coverages as well as their quarterback does. And the best ones read them the best. That's why the Packers don't always have the most crazy athletic receivers, right? That's why some of these dudes come in and just maybe don't cut it. I keep going back to that Jimmy Graham thing, and I probably shouldn't because he probably is a really good receiver and I'm just a jerk. But Jimmy Graham doesn't really cut it with the Packers. But then all of a sudden you got dudes like Alan Lazard and Jordy Nelson and all these dudes who probably shouldn't have been anything, but they're just smart. They're smarter than everybody else on the field. They read coverages really well. Well, sweet. You can go be a receiver here because you're literally playing with your mind more than your body. Great question on that. All right, let's see here. Levi's got to go. Man, I'm sorry I missed you, buddy. If you're still hanging around, thanks for hanging with me. I had a blast. Thanks for the great questions. Thanks for bringing back the run, dude. Goose hits me with a little, what about a draw run against the Rams' aggressive defense? Draws are good as long as you're really allowing penetration. I'll show you a little bit more fun version of a draw in just a moment here. We like to call wedge, okay, or Wisconsin Badger. Goose says, finally understand why that happens. Part of why Adams is a beast. Without a doubt, it's option routes, okay? It's you got to be smart. You can't just be physically gifted to run with this Packers team, okay? To be on this team, you have to be smart. That's why they get away with a lot less physically gifted dudes, because they expect them to be absolutely wildly intelligent. That's why James Jones comes in, runs the house with you guys, absolutely blows up, touchdowns everywhere, fantasy football owners' dreams, and goes to the Raiders and kind of falls apart, right? Because he's in a system that expects him to be smart, and then he goes to a system that expects him to just be this athletic freak, and doesn't always happen, okay? A lot of it has to do with that dude. So, what I was going to show you here, I was going to show you wedge, okay? So quarterback, or not quarterback draw, but standard draw against an aggressive defense can certainly happen, especially if you start seeing this, okay? You start seeing that look against a spread. Let's say you do have a tailback in here, where the heck are you going to set your slide to, right? You almost have to go man protection, which does kind of suck, because one of those dudes is named Aaron Donald. So let's just say it's this dude. Well, Jenkins, your day is going to suck, okay? It's going to be a tough day because you can't really, you can slide this, but then the tailback has to come backside. A slide would look like this to where he'd get some help on that, and then your tailback has to come fit in that bubble just in case that bite comes. But another really fun version is to just run what you said, draw. Draw might look a little bit different for all these teams, but you can just give it a call. Call it LA or call it Rams, and that just tells the center where to go, okay? And I'll show you how they block it up, but I would love to do it out of 11 personnel so that we can actually get that call. So let's say LA goes to the left and Rams goes to the right. That's a very common term, right? Right, left. That's easy, okay? So draw would bait this up the field, would hit this and bait him up the field, allow them to beat you to the outside, allow them to beat you to the outside, beat you to the outside. Let's say you called LA, okay? That means the center takes a step back and goes and blocks the Mike, okay? That means the H hops inside and goes and blocks the Sam. Now you take your 2 steps, you get those outside backers bailing, and then you hit that sucker right up the gut. Okay, that's how I would start to run drop. I started C2 3-techs, and the Rams like to hit some double 3-tech stuff, especially on second and medium or second and long. They'll hit some double 3-tech stuff because it really puts your pass pro in a bind. So if you're seeing that, love it, Goose. Great call. Run some draw. Run some LA Rams. That's what I would call it anyways. So appreciate those comments. Keep them coming. I got I still got about 15 minutes I can hang with you guys. So love doing this, by the way. Really, I just love sitting here breaking things down, kind of having an idea of it. So if there's anything else that you guys want to know or want to see what the Packers can do, feel free to drop it in that comment box. I'm not always the best at checking it, but I'm trying to do a little bit better on it. Mark says, how do the Rams align their D front to take advantage of Aaron Donald, and how can the Packers defend that? Dude, love it, Mark. This is such a good question, okay? Because they have a lot of different ways that they like to do it, but it all comes down to the same thought process. How can we get Aaron Donald one-on-one, okay? So the very first thing that they're going to do is try to get a tendency of how the Packers like to set their slide, okay? So let's just say the Rams are in blue now. If we have this look here, a lot of times what teams are going to do is set their slide to the 3-tech or that first down defender outside the guard. So in this case, it would be man slide right, which means we've got our backers in here. Well, they're backwards. My apologies. The Mike would be here. The Sam would be here. Okay, if you set their straight this way, and the Packers like to slide here, and what they're going to do is double team this nose, and they're going to keep their eyes on that Sam. So if this Sam backer comes in, the center can come off, the guard takes that nose, and then the tailback, or somebody, is responsible for blocking that. It's where the man protection meets the slide. So they're going to try their best to get a tendency on it and try to get a rule on it of like, hey, how do they like to set their slide? Okay, let's say they're setting their slide to the 3-tech. Then what they'll do is try to find a way to break that sucker. So instead of aligning like this, you can align like that at the start of the snap, and then you can bring this Sam backer down to here. Okay? That means the center can no longer double back on the nose, because he's got to step this way and respect that that Sam backer could be coming. Now, you either have a one-on-one here with 99, or a one-on-one here with 99, or a one-on-one here with 99. Of course, if you know they're always going to set it to the 3-tech, well, you can throw that kid over here too. Okay? 99 is so fast and so dynamic, he can play end, tackle, and nose. It doesn't matter to him. Anywhere that they can get him in a one-on-one set. So what Packers have to do is be variant on the way that they set their protections. If they always set their protections the same way, if they have a hard and fast rule that it's always got to go to the 3-tech or to the nose or whatever, the Rams are going to figure that out quick and figure out a way to get Aaron Donald on one-on-one pass protection. So what we would do is try to vary that up as much as possible. Sometimes, doesn't matter what look it's against, sometimes I'll just signal into my center, hey, I want you to set the man slide to the weak side. Okay, I'm not going to give you my arm motion. I don't think any of my opponents are watching this, but if they ever come across it, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, so what you can do then is you'll get backside here, you can set it to here, here, and here, and then hopefully you can get him double. Then the next play, okay, we're going to set it to the strong side. Maybe we're running man slide protection, and we're going to set it to the strong side. So we get this double here, and we slide them all this way. Then sometimes, for fun's sake, just to kind of screw it all up, is we'll come out in 11 personnel, because we already know from film study that the Rams love to go to a 3 front out of 11 personnel. So let's throw a tight end on the field. Let's get this, let's get this, let's get this. Now we know we're going to get those outside backers down here, and then depending on the formation, wherever the inside backers are, let's just say we only have one formationally. Okay, so we've got into 11 personnel. We got them in that 3 front with those 2 outside backers. Now let's just say, let's have it a full slide. So you'll slide here, you'll slide here, 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 here. All these gaps are protected. Uh-oh, what about this dude? Well, if he comes inside, he's protected here. If he goes to the outside, that means this dude probably ain't coming, right? You don't want 2 dudes in one gap, so he could be looping around or whatever. And then your tailback goes to the back and kicks that out. Usually what happens is you can get a little drag on it here. Maybe he wants to insert there. That's fine. That gap is covered. You want to get your tailback on the outside linebacker because he's a little bit smaller body. You know, you're not trying to block Aaron Donald with a tailback. That would be a nightmare. Okay, so this is a full slide protection. So sometimes you can do that. And then also you can throw in man protection, play action, roll game, all that sort of stuff, just to kind of keep them slowed up and guessing as to what you're going to do next. If you find yourself in a situation where they know what protection you're in, you're dead. That's what killed the Packers against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers used defensive alignments to dictate where their protection was. They figure out the protection rules, use defensive alignment to dictate their protection, bailed dudes off, and went ahead and attacked the weak points of that protection. And that's nasty, okay? Don't let them do that. Vary up your protections. What a great question, dude. That was awesome. Gib says, love the passion, learning from every question. Hey, Gib, thanks for joining us, man. It's fun to talk some ball, man, especially here late in January when I didn't get a season this year. Like, it's just love talking some football, man. Any other questions or anything like that? If you have them, throw them in the chat here pretty quickly. Otherwise, we're going to kind of wrap this thing up a little bit. And then just a reminder, I will be doing this exact stuff live with the game going on tomorrow. And again, totally non-committal, right? If you just want to be sitting and watching the game and then that commercial comes on and you want to fire off a question or halftime or whatever, sweet. Pop into Pack Daddy NFL live here on YouTube. I'm going to be watching the game, doing these breakdowns, trying to do some question and answer. Give me your observations, your hot takes, all that sort of stuff, and we'll try to get it. So the last point that I wanted to make, because I've heard a lot of it, and then if there are no more questions, we'll sign off, is what happens if number 20 is locked in with number 17 all day long, okay? Let's just say he is taking him man-to-man all day long. First and foremost, that's a tough matchup. But let's just say for fun's sake that 20's shutting him down, okay? Devontae is out of the game because 20 is straight up shutting him down. He's in his head or something like that, whatever, okay? Let's just say that's occurring. The Packers can use formations to absolutely kill you on it, okay? Let's put him in 11 personnel. You know what? Let's have more fun and go this side. Let's put him in 11 personnel because we know that's probably going to get the Rams in this type of look, right? We've talked about this a lot. And outside backer here, he could be playing off a little bit more. That's fine, okay? Then you're going to have a corner here. Let's say that's number 20. And then we got Devontae here off the line. Let's say that's number 17. There's Devontae. He's locking him up, man. He is just hanging on to him. Sweet. Okay, there's some really, really fun stuff we can do here. So let's just say we've got our free here, our hawk here, we've got an M and a Z, we got our backers, we got our corners, whatever. Okay, that side honestly doesn't matter all that much. This dude's been locked with this dude, and everywhere Devontae goes, that dude is on him man-to-man, and he's locking him down. Well, let's have some fun with that then. Let's put Devontae in motion, because what that's going to do is bring the corner in motion, right? Okay, so he's got to trail him. We call it to-the-moon coverage. If this dude goes to the moon, pack your bags, homeboy, you're going to the moon. Okay, so now he went to the moon. Who in the hell is going to stop wide zone where he was? You get that hook, you get this, you get that up, and then bail off to that. Boom, boom, boom. There's nobody left. If this free can come down and make a tackle on you, tailback, when there's only one person standing between you and 66 yards to the end zone, you have to go sit down. You're not allowed to play football anymore. Go think about what you just did. Okay? There's nobody left schematically. So if they lock into man the entire time, ooh boy, are they setting themselves up. Not to mention, let's just say Devontae goes in motion. Remember, he's going in motion this way. Now, Jalen Ramsey has to follow him. Well, dude, Jalen Ramsey has to run through all this mess here. He's got backers. He's got to go around. Devontae catches the ball here on the snap. Jalen Ramsey's way back here. You get a crack and a stalk. You've got Devontae Adams with a step and a half to 2 steps on Jalen Ramsey. So I am not expecting Jalen to absolutely shadow Devontae. That would be a silly thing for a defense to do. I do expect to see a lot of man on him, maybe some man help or some man free, but I definitely do not expect to see him just locking him down because the Packers will exploit it super easy. I mean, that's easy to do. Okay? Appreciate that. Great question. Mark says setting that notification. Appreciate it, dude. I'm very, very excited for it. I'm going to wrap things. It's 7:17 right now. Again, I apologize for the late start. That's my bad. We got the technical difficulties all figured out, and we're ready to go for tomorrow. We're going to be setting this sucker up about 5 minutes before kickoff so that anybody interested can come in and see a little bit of film real quick. I need to make it clear that I will not be streaming the game, okay, because the NFL really don't like that when you stream it live on YouTube. Instead, I'll be watching it on a different monitor. I'll be doing these breakdowns here, and then I'll be answering your questions should you have any. And I just love this stuff. So before you go, do me a big favor. Subscribe to, subscribe to Pack Daddy NFL on YouTube, okay? Make sure you're here for it. We would love to see you tomorrow at this channel, Pack Daddy NFL. If you haven't already, make sure you go follow on Twitter or whatever your device is, whatever your social media vice is. Follow these two dudes because they're smarter than me and they give me the opportunity to do this. So these two dudes are awesome. And again, I gotta say it, man, if you're the giving type, if you're like, yo, I love this, I want to give a couple of bucks here or there, do it on this platform, patreon.com. You can find Pack Daddy and JJ Leahy there. Don't give me your money. I'm already overpaid. Thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate all of you. You guys rule. Can't wait for the game tomorrow. It's going to be really, really fun. Can't wait to hang out with you all. Take care. Have a great night. Sleep tight. We'll see you tomorrow.